my dears, it's Katie, and I'm here today to do my May and June catch-up, wrap-up video thing that I do. So, like always, I'm going to split this into 3 parts: books that I've hauled, books that I've read, and kind of general-ish plans for what I'm doing in July and August. So, without further ado, let's just launch into all of the books that I've hauled recently. Surprisingly, I haven't hauled that many books in the last couple of months. I just didn't have the desire to, even though it was my birthday back in May, and I did get 2 books from friends, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I think I only hauled like 5 books, I think. So let's just kind of briefly tell you what they are. As per usual, I don't know too much about the books before I've read them. Some of these I have already read since I got them, but in general, they're not things that I can tell you too much about. So the first book that I hauled was Brightness Long Ago by GAVRIEL. And this is another one of those books that's kind of like Renaissance based, and I think has something to do with sea things. I don't exactly know. GAVRIEL's books kind of have similar themes, it seems like, but this is a book that's been on my TBR and on my radar for so long, and it's been one that I wanted to read for a really long time. So I'm really excited that I finally got this book, and I can hopefully pick it up sooner rather than later. The next 2 books are both books that I got for my birthday from friends. So the first book that I got was Bands of Brass by Emily Skrudsky, and this was given to me by Shelby from Read and Find Out. And I have already read this one, so I'll talk about it a little bit more later. But for those of you who don't know what it's about, it's the Finn and Poe story that we deserved from the final Star Wars trilogy. That's really all you need to know about it for right now. That's kind of how it was sold to me. And honestly, yes, it was delightful, but I will tell you more about it later. And then the other good book that I got for my birthday was given to me by Kara, and that is A Mixture of Mischief by Anna Mariano. And this book is the final book in the Love, Sugar, Magic trilogy, and I've already read this one too. But I won't tell you too much about it because it is a 3rd book in a trilogy, but it was a delight. It's just more shenanigans with Leo and her family and friends and everything, and it was really great. So another thing that Kara got me for my birthday is she got me these Shakespeare themed bookmarks. So for those of you who don't know this about me, my favorite Shakespeare play is Julius Caesar. So all of these bookmarks have Julius Caesar quotes on them. They're so cute and so pretty. I'll show them to you guys. So the first one that she got for me is this one, and it says, "Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war." And it looks like this. I absolutely love the color. This is literally my favorite color, but just look how pretty it is. And then the second one that she got me is this one, and it says, "The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves." And that's what this one looks like. And then the heartbreaking one, "Et tu, Brute." And it looks like this. I love this one a lot. It's so pretty. And then the last one, which always makes me laugh, is "Beware the Ides of March." And I don't know, I absolutely just love how they look and how they turned out, and I can use these. I love bookmarks. Like, even though I don't use them because I primarily read in ebook format, I definitely collect bookmarks in a way. I think I showed you guys my collection that I had. What was it now, like 2 years ago? I don't know. I'll see if I can dig up the video and show you guys. But I love these, and I'm glad to add them to my collection. The only thing I'm not sure about is if I'm supposed to take them out of the cellophane packaging, or if I'm just supposed to leave them in. I don't know. I don't think it really matters, but definitely something that I have thought about. But anyway, so glad I have these. Thanks again for sending these to me, Kara. And then another book that I got was Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is a book that has been on my radar for a long time. It's kind of like a dystopian sci-fi-ish novel. And it's the next pick for my friend's book club. So I had to get my hands on it somehow. And so I will be starting that one really soon. And the last book that I got was kind of just a gift to myself because I wanted it because I am trash. And that is the Royal Assassin Illustrated Edition by Robin Hobb. I got this because, if you guys don't know, The Realm of the Elderlings is one of my, if not my all-time favorite series. And I wasn't originally going to get this. And then I saw a certain image of a wolf cub. If you guys have read it, you know who I'm talking about. And I needed it because of that one illustration. And I have no regrets. But like, I flipped through it, right? And I literally started crying because some of the scenes that they chose to illustrate, I'm like, why? Why would you do that to me? But yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm gonna show you guys the cover kind of up close. It's really gorgeous, kind of foiling with a red ship on it. If you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. And then, as usual, there's a map of the 6 duchies and all of the surrounding islands and things. For the end pages, which I love. Let's see if I can find a non-spoilery picture for you guys. Let's see. Well, here's a non-spoilery illustration for you guys. It's a white and a red ship. And I just absolutely love the illustration style, but I do have some issues with it because Fitz is incredibly whitewashed in the illustrated editions. People from the 6 duchies are typically brown or very, very dark skinned. That's how they're described. And Robin Hobb did go on Twitter recently and confirm that Fitz is brown. So just keep that in mind if you guys read it, or if you get these editions, that or even just the American covers with Fitz on the cover. Like, he's just insanely whitewashed. It's so irritating. But anyway, that's just a minor squabble in the grand scheme of things, because I do absolutely love that I get these. This is my kryptonite. I will probably get all the editions I possibly can of this series because it has my whole heart and soul. So those are all of the books that I picked up in May and or June. So not too many, but and I have read 3 of the 5 that I picked up already. So yeah. Moving on to all the books that I've read in May and June. I read, I think, like 20 or 21 books. So, I mean, despite it being a weird couple of months, I still did manage to read quite a bit. So, I don't know how that happened, but it did. So, I did also attempt to participate in a few readathons. In May, it was the Believe in the Impossible readathon, part 2, that Gavin put together. And then in June, I attempted to participate in the Make Your Myth Taker readathon. I didn't end up finishing either of those. I did a whole video where I talk about my relationship to readathons, read-alongs, and everything. So just, I'll link that up above or down below somewhere, so you guys can hear my thoughts on that. But yeah, I've been struggling with readathons lately, and I've kind of just decided to continue carrying them on beyond the date. It's just takes the pressure off of me. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I still haven't, to this day, and it's the beginning of July, I still haven't finished the Believe in the Impossible readathon. So that one's probably going to be carried on for a while. And then Make Your Myth Taker I'm almost done with. I just have one more book to work my way through. But anyway, we'll talk about that as I go. First one that I read was Wind Witch by Susan Dennard. I had such a fun time with the second installment. It picks up kind of right where the first book left off, and Safi and Isolde are separated because of a lot of different reasons. And we also get to see more of Edwan, and just getting to see them kind of separate was really, really lovely, because we got to learn more about them rather than just them as a unit. So I really, really loved getting to see that. And I had a really great time with it. I love the dynamic between Edwan and Isolde. Just pure delight. I love them so much. And we got introduced to a few new characters in this, or at least we got to see more of them than we had in the past. I had so much fun, and I can't wait to pick up, I think Sight Witch is next, the novella between Wind Witch and Blood Witch, and I'm really excited to pick up both of those. I think the 5th book or 4th book, however you want to count it, comes out, is it later this year or early next year? I don't know. Vendi, tell me things about that, because you know better than I do. Then next I read Bands of Mourning by Brandon Sanderson. It's the final installment in the Mistborn Second Era trilogy quartet thing. And it wasn't my favorite of that segment, but I enjoyed it. Regardless, it after I finished it, I found out there's supposed to be another book in that area. I think it's quartet. So that changed my mindset on it a little bit, because I was just like, wait, you're introducing new things right now, and we do not have much time left in this book. So yeah, I still really loved it. I really love Wax and Wayne. They are still my favorite part of this quartet, or this sub-series. I love their dynamic. But I also really liked getting to see more dynamic between some of the other characters. And it was a lot of fun, but definitely not my favorite of Sanderson's works. But in the grand scheme of things, it was a fun time. And then I read The 11th Metal, which is a short story a Mistborn short story. So it's another Brandon Sanderson book. And I really enjoyed that one. That one was one of my favorite short stories of Sanderson's. And I can't tell you too much about it because spoilers, but just know that I enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun. And it gives you a different perspective on certain characters from the first Mistborn trilogy. And then I read Almanzor Jack and the Pits of Eltania, another Sanderson short story that fits in with the Mistborn world. And this one was hilarious. It's kind of written in an old Western style, so it clearly fits in with Second Era Mistborn. And I really loved the commentary in the back. This one has a lot of like footnotes and things. It was just delightful. Just absolutely delightful getting through all of those commentary aspects of it. It was so funny. Like laugh out loud funny. So I had a lot of fun with that one. Even though like the story itself objectively wasn't my favorite thing, the commentary made it just extra delightful. And then I finished The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. And if you guys don't know, I've been buddy reading a lot of Tolkien's works this year with Vendi from Caught Between Pages, Kara from Wild Book Garden, and Kelsey from Hardback Haven. And I just absolutely loved my Two Towers reread this time. I haven't read Lord of the Rings in a while, so I'm reading it with a different perspective and a different set of eyes this time in a lot of ways, and I'm just having just such a different experience than I have in the past. And I absolutely loved it. I mean, if you guys aren't familiar with The Lord of the Rings, basically it's following a group of people who are on a journey to destroy a ring of power. Like, basic gist without going into too much details. But this specific segment is split into two parts that follows different people. Leg 1, which is Fellowship, is also split into two parts, but it doesn't follow different people. It follows like the group as a whole, and it still follows the group as a whole here, but they're scattered all over the place. So now it's kind of split differently. So Book 3, or Part 1 of Two Towers. So Book 3, or Part 1 of Two Towers, follows Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Merry, Pippin, etc. And then Book 4, or Part 2 of Two Towers, follows Frodo and Sam. And I absolutely loved all of it. Like, you know, the first part was very kind of battle heavy. The second part was a little bit more slow paced and introspective. And I don't know. I love Lord of the Rings. I love Tolkien. If you guys don't know that about me, hi. Tolkien, Realm of the Elderlings, this shelf behind me, my brand. So yeah, I had an absolute blast reading that. And then I read Dragon Warrior, which was one of my first books to read for even the Impossible Readathon. And it was satisfying the read a first book in a series prompt. And this is kind of it's not a Rick Riordan Presents book, but it reads like a Rick Riordan novel, if that makes sense. It is a Chinese folklore mythology-based middle grade kind of thing. So if you guys are familiar with Rick Riordan at all, this book was very, very similar to that. And I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. It had some pacing issues. It had a lot of tropes in it that I wasn't necessarily a fan of, like pretty bad bullying and kind of some girl hate and things of that sort. It's just not my favorite. I mean, the overarching world building was really fun and interesting. I didn't really connect to the characters in the way that I wanted to. The plot was fine. It was fairly predictable, but it is, as I said, very similar to Rick Riordan's style. And yeah, so I mean, I don't know if I'm going to pick up the second book yet. I probably will, but I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it. But I definitely had fun with it. So if you're looking for a fun, quick, easy read, I definitely recommend picking that one up. Then I read The Secret History by Brandon Sanderson. Y'all, I loved this novella. It was an absolute delight. Gave me a completely different perspective on Mistborn in general, but particularly the original trilogy. And seriously, if you've read Mistborn and haven't read The Secret History yet, you should get on that, because it will blow your mind. And it's so good. It's so good. And that's all I'm going to say on it. Just read The Secret History. And then it was time for my reread of Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Oh, you guys know my thoughts on this book. I adore this book with my entire being. It's a very important book to me. It means the world to me, and I read it this time and I saw things, a little bit differently, but at the same time, like, nothing can take away what this book makes me feel. I just love it. I will continue loving it. And yeah, I mean, if you guys don't know what this is about already, it basically follows it takes place in an alternate timeline where a woman won the White House in 2016, and she has a son and a daughter, Alex, who is our main protagonist, and June, his sister. But it follows Alex's fake friendship and ultimately relationship with a Prince of England named Henry. and there's kind of a romance surrounding that, while also his mother is up for re-election in 2020, and all of the crazy things that go on surrounding that. It's just so good, guys. And I read The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner, and I ended up buddy reading this with Vendi. And it's kind of funny because she also ended up picking this book for me for my like Friends Choose My TBR thing that I've been doing all year. And I had a really, really interesting experience with this book. I will say, like, going in, I didn't expect it to be as journey heavy as it is, but it is a very, very journey heavy book. And it's kind of like a more travelogue for the first, I'd say 2/3, and then kind of gets a little bit more actiony and interesting, like, not that it wasn't before, but extra interesting once you hit that last chunk. And I really enjoyed it. At first, I wasn't so sure what I thought of it, but then as I went on some more, I was like, wait, no, I actually really like this. I love all of the commentary. I love that it's Greek-based in a different way that's like not ancient Greece. It's like kind of medieval Greece, and it's really going into depth about the scenery and like the world and everything. I loved that. I really liked our main character, our main protagonist. He was great. And I don't know, it's hard to talk about this book, but it's really interesting and really fun, and I just really liked where it went, if that makes any sense. And then I read Saga Volume 4. I've been making my way through Saga since February. I'm planning on finishing up the series at some point this year. I think I'm set to finish it in October. I'm reading 1 volume a month, and all I can say is I just get sadder and sadder every time I read it. It's really hard to summarize an ongoing story for sake of spoilers, but I'm really enjoying it more than I expected to, and it's just a really interesting graphic novel series, and the art style surprisingly works for me for the most part, and because that's something that is a problem for me sometimes. The format can be an issue, but I'm really enjoying this, and yeah, I mean, there's not too much to say about it. It's that time of the video, guys. She's always got to make an appearance. Are you always disturbing me while I film? Okay, love, lay down. Just for a little bit. Next book that I read was Amina's Voice by Hannah Khan. I absolutely loved this book when I read it. It was another book for one of my Believe in the Impossible Readathon prompts. This was the one to read a book with yellow on the cover, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It follows a young girl, Amina, as she is kind of going through her day-to-day life, going through friendship changes, and just kind of trying to find out what her identity is and what her place is in the world. And then her mosque gets attacked, and just kind of the fallout from what happens with that. And it's a really, really well done book, and I would absolutely recommend it. It's just got a lot of really great themes that were explored, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. And then I read The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson. This is a novella, I think, from the Elantris part, and I enjoyed this one quite a bit as well. I can't explain a lot of what these novellas and short stories are about because spoilers, but it's very interesting. There's this forger, and he has to basically forge the Emperor's soul. Like, that is the kind of gist of it, but there's a lot more to it than that. So yeah, if you're a fan of Sanderson, just another one to add to the list. And then I read, right away, I read A Mixture of Mischief, which is the last book in the Love, Sugar, Magic trilogy, and it was a perfect ending. I'm so sad that it's over, but I absolutely loved that trilogy. Like, Baking Magic is my jam, first of all. Second of all, I really enjoyed getting to see more about like different magic systems and kind of learn more about Leo's family. This time her father's side. I just really found that interesting, and learning a little bit more about just the people around her and how magic can corrupt, and how there's just other types of magic besides baking magic. It was just so good all across the board. I don't know if it's my favorite of the trilogy, but it's probably is, I think. I don't know. The second one was also delightful. I don't know. It's hard to say. But I definitely liked both of them quite a bit, or all of them quite a bit. And if you guys are looking for a really fun book to pick up, that trilogy is a really great one to give a try. And then I read Bonds of Brass by Emily Skrutsky. As I said earlier, this is basically the Finn Poe story we deserved from the last Star Wars trilogy. I loved it so much. What this book is about is it follows our two main protagonists, Gal and Etienne, who, first of all, are kind of in love with each other, first of all. Second of all, one of them is a secret undercover prince kind of a thing. He's the son of the emperor, the current emperor. And it's just kind of about them kind of reevaluating their friendship while also trying to get Gal home, because people are trying to kill him. If you guys are a fan of Star Wars, you will be a fan of this book. I wasn't 100% sold on the romance. Like, I was at first, and then I was like, wait, there are a lot of problems here. They need to solve, and they need to sort out a lot of stuff before they can be together because of a lot of reasons. Okay, that's fine. And yeah, I mean, I loved it. And the ending was, in my mind, predictable, but the way that it happened was wild. And I am very desperate for the second book to come out, because I need to continue. I need to continue with this, because, excuse me, but it does have one of my new favorite characters in it. Her name is Wenifin. She's a delight. She carries an umbrella as a weapon, and I love her. She is a disaster and always causing trouble, but she's just so much fun, and she's so pure and just good. I loved the characters of this. I loved the story of this. All of it was great, and I can't wait to continue. Definitely pick it up if you're into, like, as I said, Star Wars-y type sci-fi, because that's kind of what I'm deciding that I really like, and I just loved it. Yes, please. And then I also read and finished Emma by Jane Austen. I have been making my way through all of Jane Austen's works for the last 6 months, and Emma was the pick for May. I actually read Emma for the first time last August, and while I liked it, I didn't love it, and that was kind of the same experience I had this time, but I liked it a little bit more than I did the first time. I still love Mr. Knightley. He is a delight, pure, love him so much. I still find Emma incredibly irritating and frustrating, but at the same time, you're kind of still rooting for her anyway. I don't know. I really liked it, but at the same time, not. It's not my favorite Austen by any means, but yeah, I still had a good time with it. And then I also read Persuasion, and that was the book for June. I adore Persuasion with my whole soul and being. Like, I love Persuasion. It's probably my favorite Austen novel. And I just, Mutual Pining, Slow Burn, Second Chances, snarky protagonist. We are a fan, obviously. Plus, Captain Wentworth. Just Captain Wentworth. I love him. Is he my favorite Austen hero? No, but I still love him a lot. But yeah, just the whole relationship, the whole dynamic, the whole story of Persuasion is just great. And I had a really, really great time reading it. And that ultimately ended up finishing up the Austen Anonymous read-along. And now I can link my overall thoughts review thing down below along with all of the others. So keep your eye out for that. And then it was time for Make Your Myth Taker. And I started off with the prompt to read a book that a friend had picked, and that was easy enough because I'm doing the Friends Choose My DVR thing this year, so that was actually really easy. So the first book that I picked was Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa, and I had an interesting experience with this book. I started off not knowing how I was feeling about it, not loving it, not hating it, just kind of feeling apathetic towards it. But then by the end, I was interested enough. And I will probably continue. Not sure yet. We'll see. But I enjoyed it. It was based on Japanese folklore and mythology, which is something that I am kind of familiar with. I have a lot of friends who are really, really into Japanese culture and everything. Anime as well. Not really my thing, but that's a story for another time. And I know a lot of people who have read this who didn't like it, that just basically said it reads like an anime. I don't know if I can definitively say that because, as I said, I have a very complicated relationship with that. But I did like the mythology aspects to it. I found Yumiko to be a little bit annoying at times. She didn't read as the age she was supposed to be. I really did like Tatsumi. He was really, really interesting. I liked the side characters more than the protagonist. But then, as I said, by the end, I was interested, and I will probably continue. We'll see. But yeah, it was an interesting experience because I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. But I liked it more than I didn't like it. I don't know. Complicated feelings. And then I ended up reading His Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik. And this book I read for two different reasons. One, I read for my college friend's book club. We ended up getting through it a lot quicker than I originally thought we were going to. And then I also ended up reading it as my secret book for the Make Your Myth Taker. It's a different secret book than I originally had planned for that prompt, but it had dragons in it, and so it kind of worked for what I was trying to do, because I was trying to be Fitz, and he does encounter some dragons at different points in the series, and it's very interesting how he interacts with them. But anyway, His Majesty's Dragon is a delight. I had so much fun with it. Is it the best thing I've ever read? No. Did I have fun with it though? Yes. It is a very, very fast-paced book, at least in my mind. And basically what it is it's the Napoleonic Wars with dragons. Like, that is literally all you need to know about this book in order to understand what is going on. And I had a lot of fun reading it. It was just so much fun and so interesting to see how the world building was done and how the dynamics between the dragon Temeraire and his rider Lawrence. I loved their dynamic. It was my favorite thing. Lawrence as a solo character, though, he didn't have much to him. Temur made him interesting. But yeah, I definitely had a lot of fun with that book, and I'm just so glad that I picked it up. And I'll be reading the second one, I think, next month, because I'm doing a buddy read with some of my booktube friends. And then I also read Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. You guys are noticing a theme. I am working my way through all of Sanderson's work this year, and I'm really excited to continue on with that. But Warbreaker is one of my favorites of his works. I absolutely loved Warbreaker. It's kind of told in a fairy tale like style, with a twist. That's kind of how it is, because it's like there are two princesses, one who has like a sense of duty and one who is a little bit more carefree and wild, and just he turns that trope on its head and kind of has them switch roles in a way. The one who has the sense of duty ends up going on a journey that is a little bit more unknown territory, whereas the carefree one ends up getting thrust in this role of duty. And it's just a really interesting dynamic. There are, I think, 4 point of view characters, and I really liked all of them in varying degrees. If you guys have read the book, Vasher is my favorite of the characters. I love him. And I absolutely loved it. It's probably on par with my enjoyment of Elantris. Elantris and Warbreaker are now tied for the top spot. I can't decide which one I liked the most. But I absolutely loved Warbreaker, and I can't wait for whenever the second book comes out in that series, because I think it's coming out after the 5th Stormlight book. So we've got a few years yet, I think. But I'm really looking forward to picking that up and seeing where these characters go from where they were left off, because some more than others, I really want to know where they're gonna be, because it's gonna be hopefully the way that I want it to be. I have a side ship, and yeah, we know how I am about my shipping. And then I picked up Saga Volume 5, and you guys know how I feel about that series at this point. I get sadder as time goes on. This one was no different. And I still liked it. You know, not really much to say. My thoughts are always going to be the same on that series. And then the last book that I read in June, I read the majority of it in June and then finished it early parts of July, so I'm just putting it here, is Age of Assassins by R.J. Barker. And I loved this book so much. Why aren't more people reading it? I know of 2 other people who've read it, maybe 3. Like, seriously, it's so underrated, and more people should read this book. It is, how do I describe this book? It follows our main protagonist, Girton Clubfoot. Because he has a clubfoot, he's disabled. Like, more of a reason to read it. Disability rep in fantasy, and it's not a plot point. A+. We love that. Please, more of that. As him and his master end up getting embroiled in this supposed plot to kill the son of the king. They get recruited by the queen to try and find this assassin. So to find an assassin, use an assassin, because Girton and his master are both assassins. So they're trying to uncover this plot to kill the king, or not to kill the king, to kill the prince, the son of the king. And it just kind of goes from there. But like, the political intrigue is so interesting. I loved the mounts, these war mounts that are really unique. They're fascinating. I loved the dynamics with the characters. The setting was, a typical medieval setting, but it seemed more Scotland or Wales-ish than English. So really interested in that. Just all of it was wonderful. It does a new thing with the assassin trope, and I was a fan, absolutely a fan. Some of it was predictable, other parts less so, which was very refreshing for me because I tend to guess plots pretty easily. So I was just a fan of this book all around. Like, despite getting in a mini slump, like not really wanting to read anything in the middle of it, like I absolutely loved this book. And one of the side characters is probably my favorite, and his name is Rufra, and I love him so much. He is the purest cinnamon roll. It's so good, guys. Please go read it, and you won't be disappointed. So now talking a little bit about my loose reading plans for July. I'm participating in 2 readathons. The All the World's a Page readathon, which is a Shakespeare-based readathon. And then I'm also doing the Fuckathon very loosely. I am excited about both of them, but part of me needs a little bit of a break from participating in readathons because I am just getting a little bit burnt out. But instead of doing that, I'm just kind of doing it loosely and kind of doing it based on more of my mood rather than planning anything out. So for instance, one of the prompts for Fuckathon that I ended up just completing because I continued with Age of Assassins into July, I did the fuck ableism prompt. So I was able to do that one right off the bat. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it just like a bingo thing or if I'm just going to read whatever and see what fits what prompt kind of a thing. We'll see what ends up happening with that, but I'm interested to see how that all works out. And then for the All the World's a Page readathon, I am going to be reading 2 Shakespeare plays and then another kind of like middle grade cutesy thing that is like Shakespeare themed but is not like a retelling or anything. I'm very interested to see what I think of that. I was able to snag a copy from my library on Hoopla, so I'm gonna hopefully start that very shortly because I don't think it'll take me very long to get through, but I'm really excited to read it and see what I think because I think it'll be a fun story to get through. And I'm also going to be continuing with my Friends Choose My TBR. I haven't decided which book I'm going to pick yet. I am heavily leaning towards doing The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, but I've heard it's very heavy, so I don't know if that will put me in another kind of like semi-slump or not, but we'll see what I end up doing. But that's what I'm thinking of for the moment, at least for July. August, I think I might do Blood, Water, Paint. We'll see. Don't hold me to that. It'll all depend on my mood. And then I'm also planning on doing like a lot of rereads and reading a bunch of graphic novels in July, just as kind of like a palate cleanser, because I was able to find a few online that I really want to read. So I'm happy about that. They all just seem fairly light and fluffy or just kind of interesting and quick. So maybe if I just do a reset that way, we'll see how it goes. And I also might be starting Stormlight soon, so starting with The Way of Kings, because I've read all of other Sanderson's works, so now it's just time to launch into doing Stormlight, which is what I've been working my way towards from the very beginning. And I'm just really excited to get there and make that all work. So yeah, other than that, that's pretty much what's been going on lately and kind of loosely what I'm planning on doing soon. So yeah, other than that, another thing that is really neat that I do want to mention is there's this new site that's coming out. It's in beta currently, but people are able to sign up and fool around with the site. And basically it is new and improved Goodreads. It's got a lot of graphs, and if you put in like what kinds of books you like to read and like your preferences and everything, it'll like make a list just for you, catered to your interests, and it's not a social media site. You can still do all of the same things as you did on Goodreads, except for you don't have the ability to create shelves yet. I don't know if that's going to be a feature in the future, but like it's going to have, like this site is going to have like a trigger warning section where you can put things in, filter things out if that's a problem for you. You can filter things by mood, like if you are in a specific mood for something, you can filter things that way. You can filter them by genre. You can see like what other people are reading. There are some challenges you can take part in. You can still track your like the books that you're reading this year, or set a reading challenge. I mean, it's a really, really cool site. It's very user friendly. And if you're not a fan of Goodreads and you've been looking for another alternative, this is definitely one to check out. It was created by a person of color, and the customer service is great. So if you have questions or if you have feedback to give them, they respond really quickly. You can import your entire Goodreads library, so it's not like you have to do everything yourself. Like it's a really, really great website. And like you can still follow people, but it's like you can't see who's following you or that kind of a thing. So yeah, I'm gonna leave my profile link down below. If you guys do decide to join, feel free to just follow me or whatever, so you can see stuff. But it really is not a social media site, so it's like you're not interacting with people or anything. But if you guys are really into stats, it does all your stats for you. It breaks it down by like everything. It's really, really a great website, and it's called the Story Graph. And I'll link the website down below if you guys want to sign up and everything. And it's not sponsored or anything. I'm just trying to get more hype out there about it, because I don't know how many people know about it at this point, but it's a really, really cool place, and it's definitely something to check out if you're interested. But anyway, I will be on both Goodreads and the Story Graph, because there are things I like on both and things that I don't like, and you know, we're still working things out. So anyway, other than that, you guys know the drill. I have all of my social media links down below in the description, and I hope you guys are staying healthy and safe during the chaos. And I will catch you later in another video for you guys again soon. Bye!